Hello everyone, welcome to the first Classic Movie Vende and first video where it will be December and or Christmas, winter, fantasy related, or anywhere in between sort of these topics. But basically for this first holiday video, I thought it would be interesting to start off with a bang, and literally because this film's got a lot of shooting in it. A lot of shooting. As you can see by the title and hopefully the image that I'm able to upload as sort of the thumbnail, as they call it, that is Die Hard. Yes, Die Hard. From its memorable lines of Yippee-ki-yay and its crazy, over-the-top action sequences, this movie, I think, maintains a certain interesting level of classic. Now, I'm not going to try to compare this to a black and white film or something like Citizen Kane. No, 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 no. This is a classic I consider among action films, meaning that I think out of a lot of the action films that have come out over the years, this one has seemed to stand the test of time. And it happens to be holiday related because it takes place during Christmas Eve, and there's a whole party at the beginning of the movie, as you will see, dedicated to partying it up for Christmas. There's even Let It Snow playing at the end of the film. This movie has often been associated with Christmas because it takes place within a Christmas setting. Does that mean it has anything to do with Christmas? Absolutely not, but I still think it provides that similar holiday spirit. That I think a lot of people like to identify with this time of year. And I'll sort of go into explaining why that is once I give you a sense of the plot. But basically, Bruce Willis is our main lead, playing John McClane. I mean, I think this name has almost become like a household name, so I almost feel weird for mentioning the name because so many people know of this movie. But he is a detective um, who goes to Los Angeles, where his wife, whom he's having issues with, that's sort of a side plot that's not really part of the main plot, although it's there. And he basically goes to be a part of her sort of company party that's taking place. And basically, what ends up happening is there's a complete takeover and hostage situation. And this is where we get basically our plot and our reveal of the villain, who in this case is named, I want to make sure that I got his name right. I believe he is Hans Gruber. And I think he's really known for the putting on the German accent, so that's another thing that's kind of noted in this movie. And they also reiterate this in the sequels, but I don't really want to talk about the sequels because I don't think they're as good as this first film. But regardless, this hostage situation is done for a variety of reasons by the villain, and you sort of see what those reasons are if you choose to watch the film. But basically, he creates sort of a terrorist kind of scenario because, again, he's got all the people that are within inside the building and part of the company as hostages, or he just kills a ton of them too, which does end up happening. And John McClane's the only one that's not captured and roaming around the building. And basically, that's really where the plot sets itself up. It's this whole idea of somebody hijacking a very big corporate building and trying to kill people, and John McClane, being our main hero and protagonist, trying to save the day. Now, what I think a lot of people like about this movie, again, it is somewhat a little bit more simplistic. It's not as complex or deep. But at the same time, I think there is still a lot of likability to it. Bruce Willis as John McClane is really a likable character. He's kind of the rough, tough, on the edges, street smart guy. And you sort of feel for him as he's sort of going through this really intense scenario, and they really make it intense. Like the movie really absorbs you in the situation that's happening. So again, it is a lot more plot motivated than it is character motivated, which I accept because that's what I know the movie was going for. It wasn't trying to be so much deep within its with its with its character, I guess you could say, really development, but more so in its spectacle as well as setting up the plot. And this film does a really good job, I think, of emphasizing that point and what it was really, really going for. So it definitely works, I think, as an action film because, again, we do have a likable and still interesting main protagonist going up against a crazy villain, and at the same time, we this are given a lot of action sequences that hold up and that provide us the spectacle and provide the reasonings into what ultimately ends up happening. So again, what I mean by that is that it puts in action scenarios that somewhat make sense. Are they a bit over the top? Yes. Are they not as realistic as maybe what would actually happen? Absolutely. But I don't think it goes too overboard like the sequels do. So, in that sense, it does what an action movie is supposed to do. Um, Again, I don't compare and contrast apples to oranges, so I'm not going to say that this is better than something like the James Bond franchise, but I think it's up there in that league as being one of the more memorable action films. And again, we do get the name John McClane. I mean, that name is somewhat familiar. I mean, it's not household like James Bond, but at the same time, I think people are fairly familiar with the name and often associate Bruce Willis with this character. So I think it only makes sense that this movie would launch sort of Bruce Willis's career. Um, and it did really give us a real sense um, of what a good action movie does. And it definitely, I think, works to the film's advantage. Now, what I mean by holiday spirit in regards to the plot is that it knows how to with this film it knows how to bring out that kind of um, I guess excitement that I think people enjoy of the holiday season. Like it's very crazy and um, just all over the place. I mean, just look at Black Friday. I mean, it kind of makes sense that it embraces that kind of level of sort of insanity, especially with, again, its spectacle, but also with its characters, especially its lines too. Like, Yippee and, just Bruce Willis pretty much going up against pretty much everybody else that's really alive within the film, at least for the most part. So, again, it has that quality of heroism. And I think what makes, I guess, John McClane more of the more down to earth kind of heroes is the fact that he does follow in with that sense of street smarts. He's somebody that can get a job done and at um, bring out, I guess you could say, sort of a sense of humor. So again, he's not as interesting as somebody uh, else within another film, but at the same time, he does represent a lot of these likable, identifiable traits that I think um, make the audience really root for him and really want him to go out and get the bad guys. And I think that's what this film was trying to do. And I think that heroism sort of captures the holiday spirit. It, it it kind of wants to sort of bring out the good in humanity by showing all of this destruction but at the same time, having a hero pull through all of that. I think there's just a lot of resilience within this film, as you can even see by John McClane, because he goes through so much. So you really do see this within the film, and I think that's a very important thing to note. And I think that really does, in essence, sort of um, capture the feeling that I think a lot of people have this time of year, the feeling of wanting to go through and have this sense of hope, and at the same time, just have it be so cool going through all of the destruction that needs to be go through um, that needs to be gone through this time of year, because usually they're stressful, and usually um, they're not as productive or as good as we would probably like to turn them out to be. And so seeing this kind of level of ridiculousness, I think really works. I think it brings something to the table. And I'm not going to say that it's anything direct, but at the same time, I think it's trying to capture that essence of um, of resilience and of fighting back. And I think um, and I think that's kind of what people identify with when it comes to the holiday season. They identify with going through various things, and at the same time, kind of coming out the hero. I think that's really what um, people got behind with this film as a whole. Um, and I think that's why it's sort of identified with this holiday season, and why a lot of people choose to watch the film during the holidays. And now I'm not saying that it is on any level like any other Christmas special out there, that revolves around Christmas. But what I'm saying is that I think it does capture a sense of fun this holiday season, and any holiday season really, or or just around this time of year, around Christmas and all the holidays within December, really. Um, so if you have not seen Die Hard, um, I would ask you what you're doing with your life, but but I would just be kidding. But again, if you haven't seen this film, watch it. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of crazy stuff that ends up happening. There's a lot of suspense. There's a lot of tension. It knows how to carry itself as an action film. Um, Never at one point was I ever bored with Die Hard, so it does entertain. And I think that's another thing that people get hyped for is the fact that it does have an entertainment value to it. It does suck you into the story. It sucks you into the atmosphere and all of that. So it succeeds on that level, and I think it's definitely worthy a recommendation uh, during this time of year, especially when there's all these little holiday things that are kind of floating around in the background, and you have um, even snow falling at one point within the film. It just has all of these different things within it. I don't know if it was real snow though, because I mean, if it's taking place in Los Angeles, that wouldn't make any sense, because there's no way there would be snow in Los Angeles. So it might have been fake. I'm not sure. Uh, but I almost could swear I saw snow at one point. But it is definitely a uh, worthy film to recommend, and I'd definitely say check it out this holiday season if you have some time and are not so stressed out. But I think that's ultimately all I can say about this film without giving anything away, or expressing what I've already expressed, and how I think it sort of relates to the holiday spirit. Uh, but yeah, I think that's really all I can say. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year. And I hope to see you all in this next installment of the holiday month. But until then, everybody, bye bye.